Okay, I'm going to talk this time about using your own functions and creating your own functions. So we've already seen how there's a whole bunch of built-in functions like the print, which is a standard function, or input is also another built-in function that you use. We've also seen how you can import a whole bunch of functions like the time module, and then when I say time, I can see all of the different functions that are part of the time module. But you can also create your own functions to use throughout your own piece of code. So, as an example, let's go back to that Vegemite sandwich that we did very first day. I'm just going to put a comment. Really, of course, a good idea to comment your stuff. So I'm just putting up there what my code is and who's writing it. That's my initials. And then I'm going to start writing it. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to say, do they want to make do you want to make a sandwich? So while make equals yes. Now here's another little tip. As you know, they have to input exactly that lowercase yes. And if they put capital Y, it won't work. So what I can do is use this built-in function called lower, and that will say whatever the input is, I'm going to make it lowercase. This function converts whatever that is to lowercase. So even if they put all capitals or some capitals, it will now all be lowercase, and any combination of YES will now make that actually work. So that's a great little tip. Okay, so while make equals yes, I'm going to say butter the bread. Oops. And then I'm going to put on some filling, and then I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to ask them again if they want to make another. So it's nice to comment your code like this. It makes it easier to read. Remember, we're always thinking about how we make our code easier for me to read in a year's time when I come back, or somebody else to read. So comments like this are really nice to break up your code. So if we're going to print get the butter and bread, print butter both slices. Great. And then I'm going to print and to cut, I'm going to and then I'm going to go ahead and bring this make down here to ask again, do you want to make another sandwich? And then after all that, if they say no, I'm just going to print enjoy. Okay, so there's my code. That's all fine. Okay, so what if I now want to add other options? I want to say, well, if you want to create a Vegemite sandwich, do this. If you want to do a cheese sandwich, do this. If you want to do honey, I don't know, whatever. So I'm going to end up at some point having to copy this code to say this is how you butter the bread, because they all butter the bread in the same way. So it would be easier for me to create a function just to say this is how you butter the bread. A function is kind of like a subprogram or a shortcut to doing something. So I'm going to put my function at the top here. And to define a function, I put def, define, and then I'm going to give it a name. Let's say butter. And whenever somebody says they want to butter the bread, I'm going to print these two lines. So I want to just copy those and stick them up here in my butter function. All right. So now all I need to say down here is butter. Now similarly, I can now define a function for filling. And I can say, put some Vegemite on. And I can also say cut. Okay, so now I have a function. Functions should always be at the top. I'm just going to put a little title up here so I know what they are. My functions. So I've got a function called butter, which will print this. I've got a filling, which says that, and I've got a cut, which will do this. And then here is my main code that I'm actually going to run. Okay, so when I run the code, it will just look at the functions, go, yes, okay, I understand what to do if anybody asked me to do those things. And now I come to my main, and down in here, I'm going to say, do this, butter, put on some filling, cut the sandwich, and I don't really need all my comments anymore because they're pretty straightforward. And then just ask if they want to make another. Makes my code, my main running code, so much easier to understand. And if I want to change how we make a sandwich for no matter what, how we butter the bread for whatever sandwich, if I need to put in some more detail in there, I just have to do it in this one place because I know that that is where I say how to butter a sandwich. So functions are really great for making your code easier to read, making it easier to understand and to find, and for changing information in one place. So anytime you find yourself doing things over and over again in different parts of code, that's when you should be thinking, maybe I should make a function for this instead of doing it in multiple places.